Sometimes I get scrambled up in the middle of contrast in trying to pull myself out of it, because I call it impulse wanting.
Well, that's all right, but we want to give you something. Remember that step 1 is step 1, and step 3 is step 3. So when you're in the middle of contrast, you're doing step 1. Don't try to do step 3 while you're doing step 1. You can't do step 3 while you're doing step 1. You can only do step 1 while you're doing step 1.
Yes,
so it's sort of like someone saying, Abraham, I just jumped out of an airplane. I'm at 40,000 feet. I have no parachute. What do you suggest? And we say, hang on, it will be over soon. In other words, you're not going to learn to fly in that short period of time. Just relax and allow the inevitable. And that's sort of what we are suggesting when you're in the middle of that contrast. Don't try to make anything happen. Just trust that it's going to pass. And at another, less contrasting time, work on step 3, as we've been talking about in these virtual realities. As you practice them and practice them and practice them, that contrasting experience becomes fewer, less frequent, less severe when you're in the middle of it. We want you to enjoy the contrasting experience, just like you enjoy the contrasting buffet. And we want you to reach the place, and practicing this virtual reality will help you to gain this confidence. When you're in front of a buffet that has so much that you like to eat and some that you don't like to eat, you don't feel frustrated that there's things you don't want to eat there. You don't feel compelled to put them on your plate and eat them. You just pick the things that you like. And the universe of thought is the same way. You can choose the things that you like. Some would say, well, Abraham, I can't choose what's happening in my life. I can't choose the way my mate is treating me or the way this is happening with someone I love. I can't choose that. It's just happening, and I'm just an innocent observer that sets my vibration. And we say, that's the point that we're wanting you to understand. You don't have to let others set your tone. You can set your tone no matter what else is happening around you. And that is what unconditional love is. Unconditional love is saying, I want so much to be and feel the love and clarity and source that is really me flowing through me, that I'm going to practice, especially when it's easy, setting a vibrational tone that will attract more and more and more to that until I get this steady habit of thought that will serve me so very well. And then, when you do find yourself, and you probably will from time to time, in a contrasting experience where you don't feel as good as you want to feel, now you can relax and not struggle within it and not beat up on yourself and not call yourself a failure and not worry about what's happening. Instead, you just laugh and you say, well, this is what's happening. It will pass. Talk to us, if you want to, about something that is troubling consistently.
An incident where my husband and I had a conflict. So for the next few days, he went to another part of the house, another room, and I was doing very well. I was feeling good, not getting myself into his vibrational situation. But by the time of the third day roll around, that feeling changed, and I ended up putting all of his things from our closet to the other room. It was because it was what I wanted to do at the time. And it felt good at the moment to take a response to that. Then 2 hours later, I realized, no, that's not really what made me feel good. What makes me feel good is to go back and undo everything. But even though I still didn't want to do that, it felt better.
Here's a process that will help you feel some resolve and help you get back faster to who you really are. Whenever you are in the middle of a situation where it feels like no matter how you look at it, it doesn't feel good. That's why we talk about this virtual reality, so you can get feeling better and better. But something you can do when there's a subject that's on your mind, pressing on your mind, it seems like you can't get it off your mind. In other words, this is a very important issue to you, and here you are sort of fussing around in the same house, vibrations all over the place. So we're going to ask you a series of questions. And just answer the question easily. Don't try to make anything happen with it. But notice how you begin to shift in the way you feel. And then, after the fact, we'll show you the process that we used for this sort of unraveling. So, when you think about that 3 days, and you think about the contention that you felt, you think about where you were at the point that he decided to go to the other part of the house. So the question that we ask is, when I think about my husband, do I feel more free and light and exhilarated and in love, or do I feel more troubled and worried and frustrated? Easy to answer the question.
Well, Yes, I love him, but when he's...
That's not the question. Try to take yourself back to this moment. Do I feel more exhilaration and love and life-giving, free, good feeling, or do I feel more struggle and hard work and bondage?
Well, I certainly feel the contrast, and I feel the struggle.
Then you ask yourself another question. Now, the point of these questions is to get feeling better, but you're usually where you are. And so the first questions usually come out sort of like this question just came out. Then you say, when I think about my husband, I find him to be selfish and irritating, or I find him to be giving and reaching for feelings that feel good. Don't tell us what you think we want to hear, just...
I feel a split.
We know how you think you should feel, and we know how you want to feel, and we know how you sometimes do feel, but none of that is what we're asking you here. What we're asking you here is, in this moment where the contrast has escalated to the point that he's taking his things and going to the other part of the house, is he more yielding, compromising, easy to live with, or is he more stubborn, determined to get what he wants? In other words, which of those is a dominant vibration?
What he wants. The stubbornness, doing
Yes.
what he wants. And he feels much better about it than I do.
How he feels is irrelevant to this moment,
Right.
because we're only wanting to help you with your energy. So now you're getting ahead of us. In other words, you can already feel where we're going. But now you step back from the specifics of it a little bit and you say, when I think about this relationship in general, is it more life-giving or more life-draining?
Life-giving.
It is, isn't it? In other words, absolutely. When you step back just a little bit and you think about the relationship, in general, this relationship is more life-giving. So when you ask yourself that question and the answer that you really feel comes forward, you can feel that you are genuinely offering a vibration that has you in a more connected place. Now, we deliberately held you in a place that wasn't just so you could feel the difference. Yes?
See, I was able to hold on to that good feeling vibration that all is really well and allow him to go through the problem-solving method that he does, which is to shut down and shut out. I was okay for the first few days, and then I started to feel the lack. And that's when I removed everything from the closet, as though I needed to react to that
you see
to feel
what
better.
happens
But
is,
it wasn't really what I wanted to do.
So here this one is who has this opinion. And here you are, and you have this opinion. And the opinion is not the same. And we don't really want the opinions to always be the same. But so here you are, sort of at odds with each other. Now, he could have his life-giving opinion different from yours, and you could have your life-giving opinion different from his. And both of you could do very well in your separate opinions, allowing the universe to yield to you. But what so often happens is, he looks at you, and instead of thinking about what he wants, he thinks about what you want, which isn't what he wants, which activates what you want within his vibration. So now his vibration is split, so he can't let in what he wants. And you, instead of just thinking about what you want, you're thinking about what he's doing, so you activate that vibration within you. So neither one of you have the pure vibration. Neither one of you are in the place of allowing the universe to yield to you what you want, and both of you are blaming the other one for what's not happening in your experience. So someone, it seems, almost always is dominant. And when someone's in a really uncomfortable mood, often the way they move around, the way they bang around, often they are radiating an energy that really does get your attention. And we will agree with you that it takes quite a bit of practice to not get sucked into whatever that is going on. And the thing that we so much want you to hear is that this connection to source energy is not like a college degree that once you achieve it, it is yours forevermore. It's something that you're always working for. It's like the high wire walker on the wire, always finding balance. He doesn't get there, strike his balance, and then just stand there, rigid, and say, there, I've done it. Behold me, people. I have perfect balance. He is always reaching for his balance, and so are you. The more you relax and understand that you can find your balance, and the more that you decide that you are not going to make what he does or anything that he thinks or feels be responsible for the way you feel. In other words, you're going to show yourself through virtual reality and any other game that you can play that you can feel the way you want to feel because that's who you are. And what begins to happen is, as you make his behavior or what he feels a non-issue to you, and you stay connected to source energy, that means you're connected to source energy. So whatever it is that you are holding as your object of attention benefits as you hold it as your object of attention. In the beginning, we would suggest that you don't think about him. And you did a pretty good job of that the first 3 days. That's why you felt so good. But when you started to turn your attention to him, so often what you do with your behavior is you are trying to evoke some response from the other. And so what most of you are saying, you maybe won't admit it openly all of the time, but what most of you mean is, I would feel a lot better if you would behave differently. And so you're always trying to evoke different behavior from them in the hopes that their better behavior will make you feel better. And we say, all that does is make them feel trapped, and all that does is make you feel vulnerable, because you know you can't go for very long periods of time controlling somebody else's behavior. And help is really necessary if there is more than one of them, as there almost always is, you see. So when you reach this place where you show yourself that you can feel good no matter what anybody else is doing, what begins to happen is you activate in them something that is not only pleasing to you, it's pleasing to them. If something's not going well for you, finances, relationship, anything, somebody should do something about that. And the only one who can is you. And we know that it feels so strong sometimes that, well, doesn't he play a part in it? Couldn't he have behaved differently? And wouldn't it have made a difference? And we say, it probably would have made a difference, but you can't let that be important to you. Because when you say your behavior matters, now you've given your power over to someone else. Instead, you have to say, your behavior doesn't matter because I have found that I can practice thoughts and therefore evoke from everyone that I'm interacting with what pleases me. You see it easily with children. You know, children who behave one way with one person and another way with another person. And you say, it's like it's not even the same child. And what's happening is your expectation activates within them their behavioral response. And so you could sit in your part of the house and bring yourself around through these general questions to your realization that you are dominantly adoring this person, that he is powerfully a really good person to be with, and that he was then and is still your choice of that which you're wanting to live with. And as you activate within yourself this feeling of appreciation about who he is, it will reach to the far corners of the universe, not only to the far corners of your house, and begin to activate within him some of the same things. But if you sit in your corner stewing over what he's doing, and he sits in his corner stewing over what you're doing, now both of you are disconnected from who you really are, and you continue to activate within each other and within yourself other things that are like it, so you just remember more reasons that he should stay there and you should stay there. We want you to react less and to virtual reality more, just for a little while. We think that if when you get yourself into this place where you feel uncomfortable, you will say, the remedy for me is to do some virtual realities. Not about the subject of him moving out, because this is a very important thing. If you go to your virtual reality and you say, I'm going to clean up this situation between my husband and myself, what happens is you just drag the vibration right where it is in, and you mess up your virtual reality. You're better going to the beach, going to the mountains, you're better petting your cat, you're better doing anything that you can think of that gets you into that different vibration, rather than trying to fix a problem within virtual reality. We would try just for a little while the game of virtual reality and notice how much quicker everything comes back into alignment. In other words, what we're really reaching for, what we're really wanting to emphasize within you is we want you to show yourself that you can feel the way you choose to feel for no other reason than that you choose to feel that way. Because when you do this and he does that, and then you do this and he does that, now everybody's just reacting to everybody else's action, and none of you feel secure in your own ability to guide your own vibration.